have the Fool right underneath the Ace of Cups. So this is like childlike innocence, just getting to be able to play, enjoy life, starting a new chapter, right? Like,
Dad, you're gonna be a sugar baby.
Welcome to the Allegedly podcast with your hosts, Katey and Dakota, where I'm joined with not one Katey, but two Kateys.
So guys, I'm super excited because Katey Maple, aka my absolute hero, my legend, my monthly tarot reader, is here joining us today. Hi,
Thank
Katey.
you so much for having me. This is really fun.
Yeah. So as you all know, I am absolutely obsessed with tarot readings and just Katey in general. So we figured, why not get her on the podcast, kind of talk a little tarot, have her educate you all, and then also do some readings for us.
I'm down.
So
let's dive in.
We're pretty excited. So for those who don't know about tarot, do you want to kind of like walk through what it is?
So what's been really popularized in today's society, everybody sees like those regular cards that have like some kind of daily message or some kind of affirmation that says like, you're doing great, or keep it up, or, you know, don't go this way, or what have you. And those have been kind of like the new age popularized version of what are really called oracle cards. But there's like two different types or styles of decks, and each of them are meant to essentially be used on a daily basis, like self-check-in kind of guidance. And so it's become more popularized, I believe, like within the spiritual community, as mainly as a way of like maintaining mental health on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's two different main decks that I will interchange between, and a lot of other readers will also do the same. The first is called tarot, and the second is called, like I said, the oracle decks. So tarot is like the OG, it's like the ancient style of cards. So the way that I like to explain it is, with the difference between these two cards, is that tarot, you're always going to have the exact same style, 78 cards in every single deck, and it always has like pictures, but it's also even the ancestor to our 52 card playing deck. So it has like a really rich connection with our regular history. It's just in a way that we don't necessarily see it. So Like I said, tarot 78 cards, you're always going to have the same exact style of cards. So it's split into different sections. The first is called the major arcana, and the second is called the minor arcana. And so it can help us, you know, in a lot of different ways, whether we are just looking for some guidance and saying, you know, I don't really know what I can expect for the next few months, the next year, whether it's in regards to your finances, your health, your relationships, your love connections. It's just a really cool way to kind of tap into that. And now a lot of people love to use it also as a way to deepen their spirituality. Mm-hmm. So there are readers, and myself included, who use them as essentially a medium for communicating with spirit, whether that is deceased loved ones, or if it's spirit guides, or if it's just, you know, the energies that be in general. So you're always, like I said, you're always going to see the same exact cards. So you're going to see, like within the major arcana, like for example, you'll see a concept called the Fool. And the way that I explain it when I'm teaching tarot to people is that it's really, I don't know if you guys have ever learned this when you were in high school, learning about the hero's journey in English class. Does that sound familiar to either of you?
Nope. I was terrible in English.
I was too, but the one thing that stuck out to me was it was this theme that a lot of authors apparently would use when they're writing novels, and it's this theme called the hero's journey. And what it represents is essentially, you always have this like naive, kind of childlike, innocent main character, and as the story is being told, you're seeing what's like that's referred to as like the arch, the character arch. and you see them progress, and then they reach kind of like the apex, which is like the main challenge, and then they're facing the antagonist, and they're fighting the evil, and then all of a sudden they make it to the other side. Tarot, it's the exact same way. So like I was saying with the major arcana, the first 22 cards of the deck represent that hero's journey in essentially picture format. So the way that you read them all together is, it's just, another way I like to explain it too is, it's just like when you're looking at like Disney movies or Pixar movies where they have these like pictures on the wall of little like scenes and how they're moving from scene to scene. It's just like that, where you're essentially seeing all these different pictures, and then you're connecting the dots and you're telling the story to the person whom you're reading the cards for. And it's pretty funny what comes through.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think, I mean, as everyone kind of blends, obviously no one's going to be a master, but like I am notorious for just having you always pulling like, oh shit, Katey, this is gonna be like a rough reading. Like mine's always like, you're going through some shit.
Yes.
And it's quite funny, but I think that what's cool too is like it can be interpreted many different ways, so like it's interesting if, say, I'm pulling for myself, right? Like I'm not very good at it, but that, like, I don't think, and I would like your opinion on this, like from what I've heard, you can't really, like, it's super hard to read yourself versus like someone else reading for you, because they're gonna probably pull things that like you may be focused on just like one situation, so you're trying to very much interpret it that way, and someone else reading for you is going to be able to like go beyond that kind of.
Yeah. The way that I always view it is, when you're reading, I mean, I definitely believe that we can read cards for ourselves. I don't
totally
believe that. I think that it's a lot easier for people to do like one or two card pulls as like a, what do I need to know right now?
Yeah.
Versus doing a whole in-depth.
Full spread.
Yeah. But the way I like to explain it is like just like you said, when we're focusing in on a specific chapter in our lives, a lot of the time we're so zoomed in that sometimes we can only see just a single tree. Whereas, just like a therapist, someone can come in and help you see the entire landscape, the entire forest.
I love that analogy. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and that's why people love tarot in general, and why it's becoming more popular is because it really is a therapy service for people. And sometimes they love it so much to the point where they feel like they don't even have to talk. They just feel like this person understands me, so.
Well, yeah. And I think that, like, I mean, I'm in your DMs almost every single day because I'm just like obsessed with you. And for those listening, like I give Katey life updates to everything that like major is happening. I always am DMing her like, oh my God, this guy that you predicted came around. Or like, I don't know. It's just crazy. But I think that you're right. Like, since I started, getting readings specifically from you, I feel like my mental health and just like a lot of my perspective on things has changed for the better. And I also think that what's kind of cool and to be noted for those who are like, I don't know if I want to say doubters, but like questionable is like, I think there's a big fear on like, oh my God, like Katey's going to pull my cards and tell me like, I'm going to die tomorrow and I'm going to lose all my money and blah, blah, blah. And like, what's important, I think, to note is like, everyone has free will, right? So like, it's kind of just a guide. And then you kind of go off it. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, so like some of the things that I've been curious to ask, and I think it's just for the perspective of just like, well, I guess the way that I approach it is like, obviously Katey's is a huge fan of it. And for me, like, I almost consider myself like a trisexual. Like I'll just try anything once at least, and then kind of get my own experience on it, Like, I don't think that for me, I like to try to approach any sort of perspective on any like facet of life with some sort of negative perception or just like an assumption without having experienced it for myself, or at least having someone that I trust as close as I do with Katey, having like a strong connection with it or a strong doubt to it. So I think for me, sometimes I think of like that wife swap episode where this lady is just going crazy and she's like, it's all dark sided. And like, do you know what I'm talking about with that lady?
I've seen wife swap, but I don't think I've seen that specific episode.
There's this episode where this lady is just going crazy and she's just like, everything's dark sided over at this other house. And I think for me, like when it, like growing up in the South and hearing the words like spiritual, I guess my question is for people who may not be certain of like this, or is curious about it, but also is like a Christian, or you know what I mean? Like, how does it clash with religion? Does it clash with religion, or is it something that like could aid you in it? Or like, how do you break that down for people who may not know the right way to approach that?
Right. So I have been approached a few times and have been told that I do the devil's work.
I'm sure.
The work that I do. And, you know, I just like to send compassion and love to those people, because there is actually a very large, I like to say within the spiritual community itself, it can even be subdivided, you know, to people who practice Wicca or who are Buddhist or who even are Christian or Catholic. You know, there's a lot of people with a lot of different belief systems who all find their connection to these things. Now, you know, it depends obviously on what denomination or, you know, how into
everyone interprets the Bible differently. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's just kind of a fact.
Exactly. And so I guess that's what I was trying to get at, was like, it depends on how people interpret the Bible. And, you know, it's something that I've wondered for the longest time, whether it's something I need to be educating myself on, like if I need to read the Bible myself, if I need to, you know, almost come up with some kind of a rebuttal to when people tell me that I'm doing the devil's work. And at the end of the day, I've just decided that for me, it's about, I know that I'm coming from a place of love and compassion. I know that I'm always here with the best intentions to be able to help provide people with new ideas or opportunities to deal with maybe situations in their life that maybe they're just feeling stuck on. But you will find other people who do have a very highly religious, heavily influenced base with their reading. So like I said, I do know people who are Christian, who are Catholic, who are readers, who believe heavily in utilizing the cards as a way to communicate with spirit. But to that point also, they are also very in tune with different ways in which to live, you know, in a spiritual or in a religious way. So I'm thinking of another reader. She and I have actually become really good friends on Instagram, and she's Catholic. And so she uses a lot of, like, I would almost even say like recipes or herbs, or, you know, like it's a lifestyle for her. Like it's a whole, and she's so in tune with her religion as a result of it. And like I said, for me, I think I mostly kind of come from like a bit more of a superficial level, a bit more. And part of it too is because of my science background. Like I'm actually in medical school myself. So in a bit more of a scientific way, but and that's also like a whole other rabbit hole of.
Well, I think at the end of the day, like the way that, like it's kind of understood for me is like what you have is in a sense like a talent, or like I've also seen in different shows, like it's a muscle that everyone has, but like you kind of have to train it and do it. And I think I guess if that's how you want to approach it, everyone still lives different lifestyles, and just like any other community or any other talent or any other muscle, you know what I mean? Like there's people who have, you know what I mean, who are doctors, who are scientists, and they live all unique and different lifestyles. So in a sense, it's the same with like this community, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Well, and that's why they always say, like, just like when you're trying to find the right therapist or the right doctor, you have to shop around. It's the same exact thing when you're trying to find the right reader.
For sure.
And you have to be able to feel like you can connect with that person's vernacular. Otherwise, there's really no point to it, because the whole point, just like with, you know, finding a therapist or a physician, is to be able to work with someone who's going to help, you know, guide you on your path to exacting the change, or, you know, living the kind of lifestyle that you want to see yourself living. And if you're
Right.
not achieving that, you just move on to the next person.
How did you discover, like, I guess I don't necessarily know how to phrase it, but like I'm phrasing it as a talent. Like, is that a fair thing, or how would you describe it?
You know, a lot of people have said the same thing to me too. And honestly, I feel that way also. I love that explanation that you said of the muscle. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely feel like that's the case. Like, especially, I do believe everybody is intuitive. And just like what you said, I believe that that is a muscle that everyone has, that some people are born with it being stronger than others, but it can be
Mm-hmm.
strengthened in time. Um, for
So like
me,
when did you start going to the gym and start strengthening this?
right, for me, it really started at like 12. I was like,
Really?
well, honestly, I remember being a kid and I have, because I grew up in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of influence living in that area already with
Mm.
tarot cards and voodoo. And I remember that playing a role in my life as a child, and being around, like just at daycare, like some of the people who influenced my life, that was part of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I would naturally gravitate to books that were like, what's your handwriting style that tells us what your personality is, or numerology, or zodiac signs. Like those were books that I was picking out at like 8, 9, 10 years old. And then at 12, I think that that's when everything kind of like triggered for me, because my grandfather passed away, unfortunately. But it gave me the opportunity to start asking, like, what is the meaning of life? Like asking those
Mm-hmm.
big questions. And I wanted a way to get some kind of closure, but also get some kind of peace of mind, knowing that he's not anywhere bad, that he's in a good place. And I think my grandmother actually gave me a deck, because I had influence from growing up in New Orleans, but my father's side of the family, we have actually a shamanistic line. We have a Norwegian line it's called the Sami tribe, and so they are extremely in tune with like runes and tarot cards, and communicating with animal spirits, and like really living with the land. And
Interesting.
I yeah, she gave me my first deck and was like, you're gonna love this. And it just, honestly, it took off from there. I
Right.
started reading for myself constantly, and then eventually building up the courage to start reading for other people, and then again building up the courage to read professionally. And here we are.
Yeah, I love that. So, as far as reading for other people and doing it professionally, what is it that you offer clients? And then on the flip side of that, I think that like this is a really broad community, and like the way that what people offer is different. And so like what do you offer to clients, and then what do other people offer like when
Right,
they're trying to like seek all this stuff out?
what makes you stand out? Yeah. So there's actually, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a whole community on YouTube of tarot readers.
Hmm.
And
I've heard a lot about it from a good friend.
yeah. So that's kind of where I started to dip my toe in. I mean, well, to be honest, like when I first started reading professionally, I was actually reading in Renaissance fairs. I was working at like an ale house, and I'd already had the passion and the interest. And so eventually I just started reading while at the bars. And then I think I found someone on YouTube who was like, you need to start doing YouTube readings and like getting yourself online. And I had no idea how any of that worked. It took me
Hmm.
like honestly like 1 or 2 years of just looking. I
My
had no
life.
idea that that existed on YouTube, like when I was first getting started a few years ago. And what I was saying was, for people who have never seen or heard of pick a card readings before, they are essentially a video where you can start the reading and they say like, okay, there's 3 different groups. You get to pick group 1, group 2, group 3, and it'll give you, whatever guidance it is on the topic that we're looking into. So many of those videos are about love. Like everyone wants to get their cards read
Yeah.
about love topics.
I mean,
And so here we are.
guilty.
Testimony.
Yeah. So that's how I got started. Is at first I was offering them just online, and then I started to learn about the whole YouTube free marketing game. Like I was like, do I want to start a blog? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? So I had a blog for a while that really didn't take off. And then Then I switched over to YouTube and I started making those pick-a-card readings, and those were met with pretty good responses. And then eventually just started moving over to Instagram. And so the kind of services that I offer, usually my like base thing is people who usually are attracted to me normally want to come to me to either talk about love or career related topics. That's just kind of naturally, I guess, what I've started to specialize in. Whereas other people, and I do too, but other people are more so like mediums where you can communicate with deceased loved ones.
Right.
That sometimes comes through in my readings, but it's not necessarily a guarantee.
Yeah.
So those are like, that's like the main service that I offer. It's usually a 30-minute reading that I film, in my own space. And then I will provide them a link to an unlisted YouTube video and they can watch it themselves. Sometimes I do end up doing live readings, but I've noticed that the majority of the people who come to me for readings really actually like that style of a product, of a service.
Yeah, I personally love the YouTube videos. I think it's the best because like I can be just like at work, Katey, and Katey's reading me, she'll like send it over to me and it's time for me to drive home and I listen to it on my drive home. It's the best commute stuff ever.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Yeah, I think you told me one time you put me on your TV. I was like,
yep. You've been on my TV. I've watched you from my car dashboard, all over the place.
So like I've never had a reading before. I know we've talked about kind of like doing one right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we should do yours and kind of see what's going on.
So one of my things when I'm doing these readings is I like to usually like read out loud the intention that people, or the question that people usually send to me. So obviously you don't have to have a specific question, but if there is like a topic that you'd like me to focus in on, whether it's your love, career, your health, relationships with family, if there's anything that you're super curious to look more deeper into, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I've got stuff prepared if we want to do that, or if
he's ready to go.
I think for me, like this is my first experience, so just like anything else, like I like I'm prepared with a little bit of both. Like I'm prepared to have like an open mind, and if like you kind of want to guide me through what's appropriate for my first time, like I'm cool to like kind of have that experience. But like if you want me to kind of zero in on a couple of things and then you take it from there, like I'm also prepared with that.
Yeah, let's go with the latter. Tell me what you want to dive into.
Okay, so the first thing that I think I want to dive into is like I've mentioned before that I've quit my job and it's been a couple of months now, and I think that like financially, like I've had a pretty clear goal. Like I've had a set plan as far as like doing a couple of side hustles. I've been doing some Uber Eats on my bike. I've been playing with the stock market, which has been working out extremely well. But I think going into like my whole van life experience, like I just kind of want to know, am I prepared? Like, am I in a comfortable position financially to like have this experience that I've set out for myself?
That's so exciting. I'm sorry, I gasped. My boyfriend and I are looking into doing the exact same thing. So
I love that.
See, everybody who I end up doing readings for, I've always found is guided to me for a specific reason, and not to be a little bit selfish, but usually it's because we have similarities going on in our lives. Whether it's a love-related topic, or I just did one for a girl the other day talking about a move. And literally, like what she was talking about was exactly what I experienced at the same time. We both went through like this chaotic, like, oh shit, it's time to move right now. And yeah, so it's very interesting to see who comes in. So I'm shuffling the cards right now. And I don't necessarily plan on putting it into any kind of particular spread. I just have been lately just throwing the cards on the table and seeing what comes through. Interesting. Okay. So already you've got a theme of 2s and 7s. You have a couple of cards here that are the number 2 and a couple of cards here that are the number 7. So I'm going to just go ahead and do like one row at a time. I'll show you the cards and then we'll talk through it and then we'll do the next row. Sound good?
Yep.
We've got 7 of Wands, We have the Two of Swords reversed. We have the High Priestess. We have the Magician, Chariot, and the Two of Wands reversed. So essentially, the decision has already been made for you. You're already on the right path. Everything that you're doing is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. The thing about the number 2, so I'll talk about the numbers first, and then I'll talk about the specific cards.
Mm-hmm.
So the number 2 represents, it can represent like twin flames, soulmates. So it usually is talking about, it can represent like knowledge coming in that helps you make a decision, A, or B, it talks about twin flames or soulmates. So it can be talking about love-related topics. However, in this particular set, it's not necessarily coming through as much in terms of like a love relationship. If I were to have gotten the Two of Cups, I would have said yes. But the Two of Swords and the Two of Wands, both in the reverse, these are both cards that are talking about making a decision. And with both of them in the reverse, that opportunity to make that decision isn't there, not because you like don't have any options or don't have any say in the matter. It's that you're being guided on a path.
Mm-hmm.
There is a form of destiny in this particular story, not necessarily saying that your entire life is decided for you. It just more so means that the story has already been told. It's like you're in a video game and you're slowly uncovering the map, like you're slowly removing the clouds from the map, right? And you're
I
starting
love
to see,
that reference.
Yes. So you're starting to see quite literally how everything is being shown for you, how the path is being shown for you. So just to kind of explain these cards in more detail so that you can understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, 2s are about, well, actually, I should start here with the High Priestess. So like I was saying, so there's the difference between like the major arcana and the minor arcana. So the major arcana represents, like I said, just like characters or tropes or archetypes. The High Priestess is a card that represents, she's like the oracle, the seer. She is the person who is like the medium or the gateway between the spirit world and the physical world. So she's the person who, you know, obtains the knowledge and then gives it to you in order to help you make a decision, in order to give you the knowledge that you need to go on in your life or do whatever it is that you got to do. This is saying essentially signs are coming your way, messages are coming your way. There could be a particular word that you're connected to, but also definitely the number 222 is going to be probably a really powerful number for you to be paying attention to, helping to guide you towards making whatever kind of decisions that you need to in order to get you to the right path. But so then now that we know, you know, the number 2 as the High Priestess, then we can start talking about these cards. So in the minor arcana, we first learn, you know, what the number means, the numerology, and then we talk about the suits. So just like in a regular playing card deck, you have 52 cards, 4 different suits, ace through king. Same exact thing with tarot, but instead of it being Jack, Queen, King, Ace, it goes Page, Knight, Queen, King. So 2s represents High Priestess, getting that knowledge that's going to help you make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Wands represent the sign of fire. So this is having anything to do with physical travel, with creativity, like the way in which you express yourself. It's always, the way I love to explain it is it's like a flame that is the extension of the pit where the heat comes from. So it's the extension or the expression of the core so that you understand that that is fire because you connect those dots. The Two of Wands is about the decisions that you're making that are going to help you express yourself further. So this is talking about travel. It's talking about deciding like where it is you're going to go, what direction you're moving in, quite literally, right?
Right.
That's in the reverse. For me, that's saying a decision's already been made. Don't worry about it. Not that it's like a bad thing or anything. It's that you're being led on the right path. Two of Swords. So again, 2, High Priestess, getting knowledge or information to make a decision. Swords are talking about the element of air. And so air is talking about anything verbal. So this is about communication. This is about mental like processing or higher level education. It's about anything having to do with the head, anything having to do with thinking or intelligence. And sometimes I like to explain this particular card when it's in the upright as like a catch-22, like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. But again, we also have it in the reverse. So no stress, no worries. All decisions are being made. You're on the right path.
Woo!
Love to hear that.
So to reinforce it, they're saying you've already been putting in a really amazing amount of work. Keep that up. The one suggestion that they have is to release kind of like this fighter's mentality. It's like when you do a job, like when you're working Uber Eats, because I'm doing DoorDash, and you get yourself to a house and you expect like a really nice tip because you've been moving your butt, you've been moving fast, like you almost sped to the house, like you've been working your ass off. And then all of a sudden you look down at your phone and it says $0 tip and you're just like livid, pissed. That's the Seven of Swords. It's about constantly like fighting and thrashing and working at something, but not finding appreciation, not finding gratitude in the present moment. Seven of Wands, another way I also like to explain it is it's like fighting against the haters, or like just like swiping at whatever is in your way. And then sometimes with that fire, with that ferocity, sometimes making a mistake because something that comes in that you initially perceive to be a threat might actually be an opportunity. And so if you're not careful to slow down and practice appreciation and noticing where exactly you are in this moment, you're going to miss that opportunity. So they're really saying like, yes, stay focused, stay working towards your goals, but keep your eyes open, because the more in tune and frustrated you get with the grind, the hustle, the less likely you're going to be able to notice when we're sending you signs, when we're sending you the
like better guidance on that like adventure, that game, you know what I mean? Or the path that's already kind of there. And I guess the way that I'm perceiving this right now, honestly, is more so with like pursuing the van, you know what I mean? I think I've dipped my hands in a lot of different things, but when you're communicating that to me, for some reason I'm just like more so focused on that, because that's where a lot of my energy is going, and a lot of frustrations and like positive experiences, changes, like completely changes in my life directions, you know what I mean? So interesting.
I totally get that. Yeah, and that's where my head was going to when I was looking at these. Everything is going to
look at you two all in sync.
Great minds. So next up is the Chariot. I love explaining this card. It's one person trying to ride two horses with one ass. It's just doing too much all at once. Again, it's another thing that's like, keep working hard, keep bringing all the pieces together. Slow down when you need to. Find those moments of like allowing yourself to rest when you need to. Then the final card that we have here is the Magician. So this represents like the beginning of a journey, starting things out. Like you're just in the baby steps and trying to compare yourself or your situation to anybody else is just futile. And so the Magician really represents like that that epiphany moment of like, this is exactly the path that I need to be going in. It's that inspirational moment of finally having that vision, right? And so when you recognize in yourself that that's where you are, then it gives you the opportunity to put less pressure on yourself to being at what you perceive to be like a chapter 20 when really you're at like a chapter 3 or 4, So a lot of it is appreciating the moment, listening to the signs. The number 222 is super important. And just know that you're being led in the right place.
That's comforting.
New row. So now we're starting to see some characters coming into this story.
Ooh.
And it is actually, in fact, talking about love. So I don't know if you want to stay more focused in on the van life topic.
Absolutely not.
Okay. I think to finish off the van life topic, we do have here the Three of Pentacles in the reverse. So whatever kind of plans that you have for financial gain, be open to them changing. Everything is in flux right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Three of Pentacles in the upright usually talks about like exacting change or taking some kind of action on a particular like professional, career, financial plan. And it doesn't mean that financial opportunities are going to go away. It just means that it has the opportunity to evolve or to morph into something that's going to be able to better serve you. So I would say, you know, what comes to mind right now is really less time, more money. So something that you're going to be able to put your heart and soul into that will generate more income in the long run, right? So don't be scared if all of a sudden the hustles die down.
Love that. I mean, could I get a better retirement reading or what?
Okay. So now we are kind of diving into love topics.
Love that.
So we have, okay, let me just show you. We have the Hermit. We have the Ace of Cups reversed. We have the Knight of Pentacles. We have the Knight of Swords reversed. And then we also have the Seven of Swords. So this is kind of feeling like a love triangle situation. Are you a Virgo?
No, I'm a Scorpio.
Scorpio. Okay, so the Hermit, I was wondering if this was you. So the Hermit essentially represents, it can represent a Virgo person. It doesn't have to. It can also represent just like the theme of being alone or like, but it's not necessarily like a bad thing. It's like working towards your dreams, your aspirations on your own time. It's like kind of like a vision quest, is how I like to explain it. And just kind of listening to your own wisdom, like being single and thriving, right? And so then we jump over into Ace of Cups reversed. Now, the Ace of Cups in the upright usually represents new love, new opportunities for, you know, dating life or connections in general, whatever that may be. When we see it in the reverse, this is talking about some kind of emotional block, something that's blocking the opportunity for love to come in, whether it's on your part or if it's on someone else's part. But there are definitely two players here, the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. So this is potentially an earth sign and this is potentially an air sign. So earth signs are Virgos, Tauruses, and Capricorns. And honestly, that could actually be what the Hermit is referring to as well. It could be a Virgo in your life. And then we also have the Knight of Swords. So this is talking about any air signs. So Aquariuses, Libras, and Geminis. So I don't know if these are people that you have been in contact with or if these are people who have any kinds of feelings towards you. If anything, I do feel like the Knight of Pentacles is potentially connected here to the Hermit, talking about some kind of Virgo relationship. And that is potentially saying that this is a relationship that's going to take some time to build over time. It's going to be slow building. Whereas the Knight of Swords, it came through in the reverse for me. And now when I'm reading reversals, the way that I will do it is I usually like to say that it's a combination of the reversal of a card can represent either the like opposite meaning of the upright version of the card. It can represent the imminence of that energy, or it can represent the resistance to that energy. So the opposite, the imminence or resistance. Knight of Swords, like I said, potential air sign. With it being in the reverse, for me, this is representing a younger person, potentially masculine energy, who is an air sign. Very action oriented, but also not very good in terms of like their communication. That's just like something that they're struggling with in general, right? So when I see this card in the reverse, for me, I usually like to say that it's someone's in an unbalanced state. So we're talking about an air sign in an unbalanced state. Sometimes this can even represent people who play mind games. This can represent someone who's like twisting words or trying to insinuate that you're saying something when really you're not, or, you know, like trying to play this weird kind of puppeteering game, right? Next to it, Seven of Swords. This is someone to look out for, to be cautious of, to not spend a lot of time around. This is a card that represents someone who's deceitful, someone who isn't necessarily telling you the truth, someone that doesn't have good intentions for you. So it's a word of caution here.
Watch out.
And is that associated with like a sign, or is that just kind of like that's something that I'm going to be approaching at some point?
Yeah, so you can interpret it either way. You can interpret it to say that it's representing a person in your life who's an air sign. It could also be saying that this is someone that you're going to be coming into contact with, or it might be someone whom you already know. So we can get that clarified too. Same thing in regards to the earth sign, but the thing is that when they all came out together, it makes it look as if like they're in your life at the same time. Like these are people whom you're having to juggle at the same time.
Dakota, you're a player. You are a straight player.
So we did get another 7. So again, the numbers 777 and 222 are going to have deep connection for you. We got here the world. I kind of get the impression that you haven't necessarily met this person yet, or at least you don't have like a deep relationship with this person just yet. It's someone that I think that you'll be getting into contact with again, because the 7 of Pentacles represents making some kind of an investment that then comes back in the future. So this might be a past relationship that's returning. Again, a sign of caution. Interestingly, we've got the Emperor underneath the Knight of Pentacles. So just a really good card to get, because it's representing someone who is showing signs of maturity, of not like it usually represents like the divine masculine or the divine father. So not necessarily saying that they're like a fatherly figure to you, but it's just they've got their shit together.
They're
really
a daddy.
So this is someone who's looking to take care of someone else, right?
We love that. That's a sugar baby situation.
Yes. Because literally I have the Fool right underneath the Ace of Cups. So this is like childlike innocence, just getting to be able to play, enjoy life, starting a new chapter, right? Like,
Dad, you're gonna be a sugar baby.
Oh, that's so good, isn't it?
More affirmation here with King of Pentacles. So again, more Earth sign. More Earth sign goodness. Again, more maturity goodness. We do have here Temperance in the reverse. So for me, temperance has a couple of different meanings. The word itself, temperance, can actually mean abstinence from alcohol. And it can also mean like patience or taking your time to work through something, creating something. It's like a form of alchemy, like turning water into gold, that kind of a thing. With it being in the reverse, I'm almost interpreting this as saying like this person will come into your life the same time as this air sign will be coming back into your life. Like all of a sudden, like everything is happening all at once. All of these people are back in your life, and it's weird.
That always
and
happens.
it's hard to deal with. But yeah, it's as if like you have to get closure with the air sign before you can move forward with the earth sign. Yeah. Any specific questions so far? You want me to keep going?
No, not anything specific as far as like the love goes, but like continue. And that it's all very helpful and interesting, you know.
Keep it going.
We've got all kinds of people. I'm trying to figure out who this isn't related to love at all. We've got King of Wands. Well, I might take that back actually, because the Knight of Cups is right next to it, almost as if this is an ex. And the Devil is next to it, so like a toxic relationship with a past fire sign potentially. So Sagittarius,
Aries,
Leo, or Aries. Wheel of Fortune, someone who's got not good vibes, bad juju, bad luck, kind of like a negative person to be around. Next to it is Strength, and then also 10 of Pentacles reversed. I don't know if this is like a past ex in your life, or maybe if it's representing, it could also potentially represent someone of authority in your life, so a father or grandfather figure. Do you feel connection with any of those 3 topics?
As for like, I mean, I do, but I don't have like as far as like fatherly goes, or as far as like those authoritative things. Like I don't have any sort of bad or like fearsome,
Okay.
or you know what I mean. Like there's not. It's all good there.
Cool. So, who are you? Okay, this is really weird. I almost thought I wasn't going to bring this up, but now I'm wondering if I need to.
Bring it up.
You can bring anything
Okay,
up.
so I just got this card, Ten of Swords. This is
Mhm.
like defeat. This is representing like someone hurting you or self-sabotage, like ending a chapter in your life because of something that you did. Now, this is going to sound really weird. But last night, after I was talking with Katey and we were, finalizing the details for getting together today, this has been starting to happen more often, I think. But when I do like get cards that are talking about specifically people that have passed on, normally I get it I'll get the death card in particular, which doesn't, first of all, necessarily mean that you yourself are going to die. For me, it usually represents this is a spirit that's coming through. I got a few like flashes of images. So we'll see what you think of this. Because she was telling me that I had to bring it up today, and I was like not sure if this was connected to you, if it was connected to Katey, or what was going on. But I got the number 93. So I was thinking it might have been representing like the year 1993, maybe someone born in that time. And then I got an image of a woman who was in some kind of a bar. And she was in like a pool house bar where there was a bunch of pool tables around. She was dressed very interestingly. She had a gray tank top. She was wearing black pants, and then she had on hiker socks and hiker boots. And she had her hair done up, and over it she was wearing one of those hats that people wear when they're either fishing, like when they look like fishermen. Like she looked very like PNW is what I'm trying to get at. And so she's like sitting there enjoying a beer, drinking at the bar, and then unfortunately I get a flash image of her being deceased, and she's like on the side of a highway, Route 51, which I think is in Arizona. And so I was wondering about that, and I was like, what do you want me to do with this? And she said, bring it up on the podcast tomorrow. So I said, okay, so we'll see. I mean, it could be connected to either of you, or it could also be connected to someone who's listening in.
Right.
But it felt like it was someone who was trying to talk about them where they are. Someone was saying they don't know where I am. They don't know what's happened to me. So when I was pulling these cards just now, that's what came to mind. Because the Ten of Swords, again, is someone doing some kind of harm to you or some kind of self-sabotage, a chapter ending. Now, this person could potentially be that fire sign. This could be talking about her. Knight of Cups, false love. I potentially feel like this may be someone who met someone at a bar, didn't necessarily go well. Devil representing temptation. Like it's another warning sign of like this is not a good route to be taking. Right. Fortune in the reverse, also again bad sign. So that was interesting that came up last night. And again, these cards are kind of making me think about that. So we'll see if it connects to anybody.
Right. And for that, and the whole like 93 and that like that image of the person at the bar and like what they're wearing and stuff, that's someone that you're communicating has already passed, or is that someone that like somebody should be watching out for that is here with us?
I think that this is someone potentially who has already passed.
Okay.
I was gonna say, shit, I'm a fire sign. I will stay away from the 51, which I drive on every day.
That's wild.
I'm not wearing any sort of hat anytime soon.
She was blonde, but I'm not trying to scare you.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't feel like it's either of you. I feel like it's someone that's connected to you, but potentially through the podcast. So after that, I just pulled those cards. I was like, is this actually talking about that? So then now we've gone down that whole rabbit hole. So now let's come back over to the last set of cards that I pulled. Queen of Pentacles reversed. The Page of Pentacles also reversed. The Tower reversed. Four of Cups, the Nine of Cups, and then finally the Page of Cups. So this feels like these are all cards that are kind of summing up for me what we've talked about before. Pentacles, again, talk about like finances. So this has everything to do with, you know, career, finances, like financial goals, money. So this is talking about finances. I think it's talking about what we were talking about before with like the finances finding its way, potentially morphing in the long run, but then coming back and, you know, being even stronger than what it was before. So there's a lot of patience involved with that turning around. Now we do have here the Tower in the reverse, and I think I actually did pull this for Katey at one point, and I do kind of want to make it like a side note and say this card was coming through a lot before the pandemic happened.
Yep.
So seeing this in the reverse is really exciting for me, because this is representing like finally moving past what this card represents. So
Right.
the way that I like to explain this card is it's like a hurricane. It's like something that's coming through, like a tsunami or some kind of natural disaster that wreaks havoc. But once it's finally made its pass, it's allowed for a clean slate. It's allowed for the opportunity for new creation, new opportunity. Seeing this reversed, super cool, because it's showing exactly that. It's saying, you've made it to the other side. Now it's time to, you know, pick up what you have left and move forward and create something bigger and better.
Mm-hmm.
Four of Cups is talking about like boredom, disconnection. So reigniting that passion is super duper important, because that's connected to you making more money. But then also, so the Knight of Cups is saying wishes being granted. So more positive signs, obviously, that you're moving towards what it is that you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
But it also is a sign too of, don't forget to be practicing self-care. Don't forget to be practicing, don't forget to be filling your cup first, is really what that's saying too.
Love that.
Yeah. Money, passions, making it to the other side, and then finally the Page of Cups. So it's about an artistic passion project. Again, chapter just starting.
Right. Love that. I mean, that alludes to a lot of things that like I'm already dipping my like energy in, you know, so that's just kind of like a great sign, you know. I guess if like I had the opportunity to ask one more question, the last thing that I would ask would be just like, what's holding me back?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Snap, coming in with the cues.
You know what? I think I do actually want to pull an oracle card for this too. So I think you'd love these actually, Dakota. These are called the Rebel Oracle. These have messages with some sass.
We love a little sass.
So I'll pull two of these, and then I'll pull two tarot cards as well. That's funny. Okay, I thought it wasn't supposed to be yours, but it is. It just came through twice. So I'm gonna.
We love consistency.
Yeah, the card popped out at first, and so I took it, and then I was like, no, I don't think this is his. So then I put it back, and I shuffled, and it popped back out again. Okay.
Like, bitch, no, that is yours.
Yes.
A clear sign.
So we have here, put the fucking phone down. Too much screen time is making you awkward and sad. Go talk to a live person.
Love that.
Difficult with the pandemic, but it's important. Wear a mask. It's not everyone else's fault. It's yours. You are a grown-ass adult. Stop blaming others for your shit. So it's just about taking responsibility if you need to. That was the one that came out twice.
They really want you stop playing the blame game.
Oh, yeah. So
I love a good blame game.
Yes. And the two tarot cards are both love related. The Two of Cups, which I said I wanted to see earlier, now it's arrived. It's my soulmate twin flame card, so that's coming your way. Also the Ten of Cups, family, you know, having that soulmate twin flame relationship, having children. It's also kind of like a legacy card. It's about developing the generational, like fixing generational happiness for years and years to come. Like what you're doing in your life is important and is not going to affect your life alone, but it's going to affect generations for time to come. So what you're doing is important.
I love to hear that. I feel that way. So to be affirmed that, like, love it, living for it. Like, oh, that's really helpful. You know what I mean? But I guess is the question, the answer to the question of like what's holding me back, is it kind of more so focused on like too much screen time? I need to have more like interactions with humans and not virtual interactions, and then also just like ensuring that I'm not blaming others more than I'm like considering myself, right?
Yes.
Love
It's
that.
about taking responsibility where you need to, letting go of the things that you don't need to be taking responsibility for, and encouraging connection with people.
I'm here for that.
Awesome.
Amazing. Well, Katey, thank you so much, seriously, for coming on. For those who are listening and are interested in getting a reading from you, please plug yourself and where they can reach out to you.
Yes. So I am pretty active on my Instagram account. You can find me at Katey Maple, and I spell Katey like Katey, and then Maple is Maple. And you can also find me under the same username on YouTube. I've been more active on Instagram lately, but now that I've officially moved into the new apartment, there are some really big goals that I have for expanding the channel and creating a lot more content for people too, so that if people want just little short connections, you can find me there.
Yay.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Katey, for coming
Thank you,
on.
Katey.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me. I really had fun.
Yay, good. Bye.
Bye.
You had your first reading. Break down your thoughts, feelings.
Well, yeah, I think we need to do like kind of a little reaction moment of what's going on. And I think like Katey, you know, just about everything about me. So like I'm also kind of curious to hear your opinions on some of the like more specific things that were shared.
Yeah.
I think what I was realizing as I was getting it is and I think it's something that attributes to like why you may like the YouTube version of it more so than the live version, is like me having this as a recording. I'll be able to kind of go back and listen to it again. And I think it's especially helpful during your first time, just because like I'm like processing two different things. I'm processing like
there's
what she's
like a lot going on.
So like I'm processing what she's explaining as far as what the cards mean, which is like using a different part of my brain than like me trying to connect with what she's saying about me personally. So like having that all happen, it's hard to like kind of wrap my brain around like, okay, I need to remember this. I need to like look out for this. I'm also just kind of trying to be a sponge and absorbing some of the like more teachable moments that she was having as far as just like, you know, what each card means and stuff. So that's why I could understand why a lot of people are gravitating towards that method of getting readings, just because like it was a lot for me to process.
Yeah, you know what? I think that Katey, and I mean, I talked about this in the first time that we talked about my tarot experience. She is actually, of the folks that I have had readings for, she's the only one who does that. And I really like it. Someone else who I've had a reading for, she's fantastic. And I've had a few readings done by her, but you do it over the phone. And so it's, you have to take notes or else, because like, say it's a 30-minute reading, right? Like those 30 minutes are going to go by so fast because you're literally like, I'll just be writing and writing and writing pages on pages of notes. And it's almost hard to like stay in the moment kind of when you're on the phone. So yeah, it'll be good that you have obviously this past episode to reference back to.
Right.
But for everyone, like if you are interested, I definitely would do it with Katey, just because like for me, what I do, I watch, well, sometimes like I said earlier, it's while I'm on my little commute, I'll kind of listen as I go, but I'm always taking notes. And then I can go back and watch again just so that I have like another little reminder.
Right. So I think as far as like the messages that we were receiving, I think the way that like kind of I was processing it, I think the van thing is cool. Like I think it all makes sense, you know. I think like a lot's changed with the van where I was gonna have someone build it before, and then now I'm doing it myself, and it is taking a long time, and it like I've had some ups and downs as far as like some like I'm doing this all by myself and I'm learning it as I'm going. So like I've had some really big wins with like the floor, and then I had a setback with the spray paint, and then like I had a setback with like drilling into the vehicle itself and just learning some of the equipment needs and stuff. But I think like I do feel a little bit affirmed that like this process is going towards like that end goal that like I've already, you know what I mean? Like it's already kind of set in place. It's just going to take some time, and like I'm going to be navigating through what needs to be done regardless, you know?
Totally.
No matter kind of like what I encounter on the way, the Oregon Trail of it all, if you will.
We love that.
So the thing with like the relationships, because that's kind of where we went to next, is we went into relationships and stuff. And for me, I think like and you kind of already prefaced it as far as like preparing a little bit of like important people associated with their signs, just so kind of I may have like a better understanding. I am super like that's something that like I'm not familiar with, you know, like I just don't know either people's birthdays or like what their sign is, just because it's not something that I have a habit of talking about. So it is kind of interesting for me to like receive that, especially something as broad as like certain signs, like water signs or, you know, like earth signs and things like that, to where for me, I don't have like a clear understanding of like an individual, you know, which may not be her intentions, but I think it is just kind of interesting, you know.
Well, okay. So whenever she was talking about it, did you know who she was talking about, or you didn't?
I didn't feel any sort of connection with one indiviral person.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Did
like
you
I didn't
write down birthdays?
I did, but that like as far as love goes, you know what I mean? Like there's only, you know, so much. Like as you know, I only have so many. Like we don't have a whole handful, baby, or we just don't even like.
Well, then again,
I remember their name, but I did catch their birthday.
Totally. Well, but then again, you have to remember too, like she was kind of talking about like those people you may not have even met yet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So there is, it's really
it might
dynamic.
not necessarily, it might not necessarily resonate like right in the moment. I think, for example, like I, in one of my readings back in April, I had a reading, and I try not to like focus too much on love anymore, because I want to just like very much give that up to the universe and say like, hey, do me right, fam. You know what I mean? But I back in April, I was having a hard time getting over someone, and so I just said, okay, give me this person or someone better. And then I think it was that night, or like that afternoon, Katey was actually recording my reading. And I think I like said that I was affirming, manifesting it, whatever you want to say, in the shower. I literally said it out loud. And then also in my mind was like this deck, because I obviously knew I was getting my reading done that day. There was this deck that I know she owns that came to my mind. And I was just like, okay, like today's reading, like I really hope that she uses this deck. Like, I think that's what's going to resonate the most. She used that deck. That was like, and on the film, she always will like start out like greeting or whatever, and then she'll say, hey, like I think I'm going to use this one today. So it's not like she's already set up. She just like does it off her intuition. And she grabbed that deck, and then whenever like love kind of popped in, and the person who I like was having a hard time getting over came in, but then also a like Pisces water sign comes in, and I'm like, okay, I don't I don't know a Pisces water sign, you know? So I was like, wait, what the heck? I'm like literally going through people's Instagrams and shit or Facebooks, like, what is your birthday? Like trying to figure out who this person could be.
That's kind of what I was thinking in my head too. Like the way that you're describing that, like I was trying to think like, okay, like there's a lot of these old, you know, like an old flame or an ex or like all these things that she mentioned. I'm just like, well, shit, I don't know. I can't think of their birthday or like, I don't know their sign, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which means the same thing. But like, you know, I just,
yep.
You never know because there's so many or so few that are either important or not important because like, I don't know where I'm at with them.
Yep, exactly. So then I think like a month and a half later is when that Pisces who I actually talked about in the Ghosted in the Pandemic, when he like came back into my life. So I think that obviously like that person was not better than the person I was having problems getting over, but I think just kind of opening it up and then like understanding, hey, like you might not know this person. Like sometimes I totally, after I watch, I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. And I'm like thinking about it. And then it always like, I feel like the true test, I guess you could call it, is like a few weeks, maybe a month, like however long later, like seeing kind of what happens. I mean, for God's sake, I had a reading in February that led up to, hey, something's gonna happen like 4th of July time.
I think it's really interesting, and I think that I kind of receive it that way, you know, like I'm not like disappointed that I can't pinpoint someone specifically. Like that's just part of either me not, you know, being in the know or I'm not supposed to be in the know, but it's just something that like to anticipate or prepare for or just like, you know. I think the other like obviously big moment is the whole like 93 Highway 51, you know, like that was a big
holy shit, like I drive on the 51 literally every day. So
are you born in 93?
94. So like I think she's safe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if there's anyone else listening who actually, you know what, if you're listening and this resonated, please message us, because like your girl doesn't want to be dead on the 51.
Yeah, well, I think if anything, you know what I mean? Like if there's anyone listening that like connects with it, like if someone's stalking me and like this is your sign, just kind of drop a hint, you know?
Please literally pop in. Like I hope that resonates with someone.
Like we proceed with confidence, not caution.
The good news is she literally said she doesn't think it's us.
Right.
And she's pretty good with like the gut feelings.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't think anyone should take it as like a fearful message, you know?
No. I think that like, and it could literally, I mean, like it doesn't have to be the year 93. What if it's like a 93-year-old, you know what I mean? Granted, she more said like 1993 kind of situation, but
yeah, that was really interesting.
I don't know.
And then I mean, it's hard to say with some of the things that are holding me back. Like I think I do focus on blaming more so than like blaming myself, you know? Like I'm a little bit of a counter arguer, you know, especially when I'm trying to make my point.
Absolutely.
So like I understand that, and I think that'll always hold me back. So I think being aware of it is like helpful, you know? And then I think as far as like what she said about like the creativity stuff, like it just like feels good. Like nothing about like that reading made me feel like worrisome or that like I need to be preparing for a different direction than I'm already taking right now, or you know, like the investments that I'm putting in and the seeds that I'm planting are hopefully going to be fruitful just based on like the messages I received from her. So like
no, I think that like it was all good signs that like you are on the right track and all the things you're doing. Hopefully some of that was talking about the podcast. Selfishly, I'm a put a prayer down. But then again, I might be dead on the side of the 51 here too.
No.
Yeah, we're not. I'm not even gonna put that out in the universe. Yeah. So overall, what did you think?
I think it was a good experience. I think that I can understand why someone would like continue to do it, because it is something that like it'll, especially if I start seeing these things more clearly than I did right now,
Yeah.
like I may not, because it is a lot to process. Like it is a lot of different people, and like my familiarity with just like horoscopes and things like that are not as strong as yours for sure, and like probably most others. Like I don't know,
Absolutely.
everyone's on a different scale of their familiarity with that, but I think just like if you were someone that was more familiar with it and like you were having more reactive like signs, and then like for me just anticipating certain things as in these upcoming weeks and months, like it should just be interesting. And I think yeah, like I had a good experience. I liked it. I didn't feel uncomfortable, like nothing made me feel like
Yeah.
weird or I just felt
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's like why I was really excited to do this episode and kind of show people is like, because I think that people think it's like this weird, like, we're all going to be like in a circle chanting stuff and like
mm-hmm.
sticking pins into a doll. Like, it's not like that at all. I think that it's like, honestly, it can just be kind of like refreshing and like, hey, like maybe think about this, like point your energy this way, like this is potentially going to happen kind of thing.
Well, I think it's
So
always helpful too, just to kind of like put some mental energy to like observe the landscape, like what, like these are
yeah,
all the things that I'm focusing on, but in reality I'm not focusing on it, just because like I'm taking each moment as it comes. So like to have this conversation with someone where she's observing the landscape, I'm reflecting on the landscape as it's happening, and it's just like, okay, like I'm thinking about the way that I'm proceeding with like my financial situation, the way I'm proceeding with like my personal time, my, like my
totally.
creativity investments, my relationships. Like it's something that like just being reflective on stuff like that is always, I think, healthy and important to do. So I think setting some time aside for that is therapeutic, just like she was saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, I fully agree. Look out for the 2s and the 7s, repeating
Well,
numbers.
when she first said 27, I was like, baby girl is 27. So like, remember, this is my year.
I mean, hey, that's good.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, I think that I mean, I see repeating numbers all the time. You'll probably like, since you're actively maybe now thinking about the 222s and the 777s, you might see them a
mm-hmm.
little bit more.
I'm gonna take
Um,
that, and I'm gonna maybe go to the casino and maybe like throw a couple of coins in, and hopefully we see triple sevens, baby.
we love that for you.
That's the message I'm receiving. Triple sevens, baby, on that slide.
Mo money. And
Yeah.
you're gonna be a sugar baby.
Oh yeah, let's not forget that.
Congratulations. Congratulations. That is so exciting. The
Love to
envy
hear
is
it.
there.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's really
Well,
funny.
I hope you enjoyed your
I had a
first
great experience.
experience.
Yeah, I really
Good.
did.
I'm glad. Yeah, I think Katey's great and she's just like super, I don't know, she's chill. And she especially in her YouTube videos, she's just like she's got such a great personality and she cracks me
Mm-hmm.
up. Like she doesn't make you, kind of like you said, like she doesn't make you feel like worried about like having a reading or like scared or
Yeah,
anything.
well, I think anyone who is maybe fearful of having a reading, you kind of have just like these weird perceptions about the activity that's happening or like who this individual
Yeah.
is. But like Katie is someone that like I could kick it with, like it's not like it's
Oh
someone that
yeah,
like,
she's so chill.
it's not like she's just like this person that I'm not familiar with, like she seems like someone that like I could be very familiar with, very like,
Yeah.
she's a very
Yeah.
normal and cool person. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I fully agree. Cool. Well, as Katey plugged earlier, please make sure to follow her at Katey Maple. She does not spell it like I do. She spells it Katey Maple, like the syrup.
Yeah, and if you're
Other
interested in having an experience like that, like definitely hit her up.
and
Right.
you can also DM. You can DM me if you have any questions. I've been getting readings from her for now 7 months. So pretty cool stuff. I've got some tenure. So, and I follow her on Instagram too. If you go into my followers, you can find Katey.
I love that. Well, thanks for popping this cherry, baby.
Absolutely. I'm here for it. I'm here for you. Please make sure to follow us as well at Allegedly Katey Dakota. Follow Dakota at Dakota Etheridge and me at kt.hen. We'll see you later.